Well, hello there, and welcome back to another installment of Alright guys, as you may have noticed, today we're doing a tap lick, and while this does look to be pretty quick and maybe complicated, it is dead simple, I promise you. All we're going to be doing is moving through A major, and we're going to be outlining major triads within that scale. So if that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry, I'll break it down in a minute once we get into the lesson. Anyhow, hope you got your tap dancing shoes on. Let's go. Alright guys, few things to take care of before we get going. I'm going to be doing everything in standard tune, no surprises there. The entire lick is built around A major, so as long as you know your A major scale, you should be good to go and have this up to lightning speed in no time at all. Tones today will be brought to you by this really old Charvette, which is, I think, kind of a Charvel, not quite. I think this is from the early 90s. Anyway, kind of a cool guitar, and you're just going to be hearing noise directly through my camera coming out of my orange AD30. And I think I've got a jet driver in front of that just to give me some dirt. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's get into it. All right, let me play that lick one time slowly so you guys can see what's going on here. Alright guys, so to start this lick off, this is basically what we're going to be doing. And if that looks like some Van Halen style tapping, you are 100% right. All we're going to be doing is outlining A major. So to start this off, to outline A major, we need the 5th fret on your E string. We're going to need right here the 9th fret on your E string, and we're going to need up here the E note located on the 12th fret of the E string. So right here. That kind of thing. That is obviously just outlining an A major chord. And this shape, good news, is the same shape we're using for everything. So this is going to be really easy once you get your brain wrapped around it. Okay, so all we're going to be doing is obviously that shape, but I made this a little bit more complicated. So to start off the phrase, and this is going to apply to everything, you're going to first and foremost tap on the 12th fret high E string, pull off back to the 5th fret of the high E string, and then just do that kind of run in there. All I'm doing, guys, I'm just hammering on after I pull off, hammering on to the 7, hammering on to the 9, okay? That sort of thing. So as you can see, we're just doing A major, and I'm adding in the 2nd. So what I do in the original lick, I play everything 2 times. So go ahead and play that twice. Okay, now once you've done that, this is where things get really complicated. I want you to jump down onto your A string and do the exact same thing in the exact same position. Seriously, that's it, guys. So we've got this so far. All right, now here's where things get cheeky. As you know, we just did A major, and then we just did D major. So next thing in that scale is E major. So up here on the 7th fret, we've got ourselves an E. So we're going to repeat the exact same pattern, but just up at this position now. So the only thing different is you've just moved up a full semitone. So you're going to be tapping, starting off here on the 14th fret of the A string. So you tap there once, pull off to the 7, hammer on to the 9, hammer on to the 11. Okay, and that is for E major. So all together, then if you do that one twice, we get this. Okay, perfect, good. Now this is really key because this pattern is just going to repeat itself all the way across all the strings. I told you this is going to be easy. Okay, so now that we've done this, we need to repeat the pattern, which we know started on an A major. And oh boy, look at this. We have an A located right here on the D string up at the 7th fret. So we can just use this exact same pattern, doing exactly what we just did, but starting at this spot. So that's all you're gonna do, guys, is exactly that. So starting off now, same pattern, here we go. Okay, so all together, here's what we got. Rocket science, I know. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit cheeky just by the way that a guitar is tuned. But we know that we start this phrase on an A major, we end on an E major. So we just ended on an E major triad. We need to find ourselves an A major triad. And lo and behold, right there we have an A, and that is located on the B string up at the 10th fret. And yeah, you guys, you got this. We're gonna do exactly the same pattern. And then I resolve this just by tapping here, which of course is the 17th fret on the high string, which is an A, and we're doing this in A major, so it sounds nice and lovely. Okay, so the whole thing played slowly together looks and sounds like this. Perfect. All right, guys, so one thing I will say, if you're finding the string changes are a little bit tricky, just go ahead and play that sequence. Instead of playing it twice, maybe play it 4 times, 6 times, how many times you need to get that comfortable so you can think about the change, and then you can start scaling back as you get going. So if you're doing this, right, maybe that's too tricky. Maybe you want to do that 4 times and change, So do what feels comfortable for you. For me personally, this kind of doubling up of things or tripling or however many really helps you just kind of look at what you're going to do, kind of go into autopilot, and then make the jump when you're comfortable. So if you're having trouble with this, feel free to try the technique. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit. All right, guys, so for the second half of this lick, it is exactly the same as the first bit of the lick we did, except we're playing everything now descending. And the difference is here, as I took out the second that was added into each one of these triads, okay? So you don't play that anymore. Now we're just playing strict triads. And again, we're doing this backwards, so we're gonna be starting off going E, D, and then A, E, D, A, E, D, A, and so forth, okay? So to start this off, we need to obviously do an E major triad. That kind of thing, right? So all I'm doing here, guys, for the E major triad is I'm hammering on up here on the 19th fret, and I'm pulling off, as you can see, to the 16th fret here, and then off all the way to the 12th fret there. So that's your E major, right? So that's just your basic triad being pulled off descending. One thing I will say, you might notice I am using my middle finger to do this. That's just so I can hold my pick like that. It's a weird habit I have. Everybody's kind of got their own quirks with these things. That one's one of mine. You can use, obviously, your index finger, whatever's comfortable. Just for me, this works out, and I don't like hiding the pick like that when I'm playing to use my index, so I just use my middle finger. It works for me. Do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just make sure as you're hitting, you're flicking off. Otherwise, you're not going to get much sound out of it. Okay? All right, back to the lick. Anyway, so we did our E major. We're going to do that twice. Now we need to do our D major, so just come back here to the D, of course, located on the 10th fret of your E string, and we're going to do the exact same shape, like that. So, of course, that is the 17th fret, 14th, back to the 10th. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And we know we got to do now our A major, so back over here onto your B string. Same spot, obviously. Okay, so the first bit all together. All right, and we're going to just do the exact same thing, but now on the middle 2 strings. So go ahead and find yourself E major. Okay, and then once we've gotten here, again, rocket science, you know what we're going to do? Find yourself an E major. And there you go. All right, that whole second sequence, played slowly, should look like this. Perfect. Alright guys, as a bonus, you probably noticed when I finished my phrase, I played this note right here. You're welcome to do that if you like. All that is of course an A, which is located on the 7th fret of your D string. Beyond that, what I did is I actually kind of, after playing that, I fretted an A major chord, and all I did, just fretting the A major chord like this, is I just came up here and I tapped the exact same notes, but just over the frets above here. And of course, that's just giving you the harmonic of that note. So it sounds kind of nice. Feel free to do that if you like. Whatever you want, really, but you can end the phrase that way if you so choose to. Anyway, I digress. Alright guys, the whole lick played together slowly should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, a little bit quicker. All right, maximum effort. Alright guys, so there you have it. One major tapping shred lick moving all the way through A major, outlining the triads you need for each major chord within that particular scale, and played in kind of a flashy, interesting way. A couple things to note, guys, when you are doing this, just as I mentioned before, if you're having trouble with the string changes, feel free to loiter a little bit longer before you make your jump. The whole point of this really is to get you feeling a little bit more comfortable with making these changes while tapping. I know when I was starting out playing, I used to see guys shredding through things and, you know, beyond the Eddie Van Halen tapping on one string movement, tapping diagonally across strings seemed just totally insane to me, but patterns like this really make it very simple and easy to follow. A couple things just to focus on as well while you're playing this. Try and make sure that you're controlling and muting as many strings as you can. I'm kind of muting a little bit with my index fingers as I play. And that's kind of keeping things sounding a bit tighter. But if you don't do that, you're going to get this kind of sound, which is really noisy and not super pleasant. So try and focus on that. If you're finding that's too hard, there's no harm in using something like this. This is a string mute, just kind of goes on the neck here and helps keep things nice and quiet, but I'd still recommend practicing without it just to ensure that you kind of get this technique nice and tight and really work on your own muting technique. Anyway guys, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you found this somehow informative or useful. If you did find this in any way useful, please consider hitting like and subscribe, helping my channel grow a little bit. As per usual, just keep on shredding and we will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.